Ahoy hoy gang, if this is your first time with us, welcome, and if you're joining us from a previous video, hey, we love to see it, and I hope you're doing well. It's Season 7, the Detective Agency season, woo! With the group blacklisted and the office shuttered, it's up to the crew to reformat and figure out what they're gonna do next. But was it a success or a sign that the winds were finally against the super spy spectacle? Well, there's only one way to find out and 3 questions to be asked. What worked, what failed, what mechanical matriarchal reunions will be curtailed? In Rave Master, Haru's son's name is Levin, and it's time to review Season 7. Boom! Nailed it! Take that, 7! The new season opens with 2 detectives investigating the scene of a crime. The detectives will be played by small indie actors I'm sure no one's ever heard of. J.K. Simmons, aka the Yellow M&M, and Keegan-Michael Key, most famous for playing Bumblebee in Transformers 1, now in theaters, and obviously nothing else. Yeah, they're 2 incredibly talented actors that will show up throughout the season and do a great job elevating the season as a whole and seem to have some pretty excellent chemistry. And they're investigating a body in a pool. The body of one Sterling Archer. And rewind! That's right, the season is going all Sunset Boulevard. And then jump 6 months earlier so we can see how it all started. The Ficus Agency gets their first real case, and it's to steal a disc for Hollywood super talent Veronica Dean, played by Una Grauer, who also plays Katya. Archer, Ray, and Lana go to break into Alan Shapiro's house to steal the disc, and after a run-in with the guard dogs, they're able to get the disc and return to Miss Dean. When they get the money, Miss Dean walks off, and the next day, the real Veronica Dean shows up. Dun, dun, dun. The season is weird, and it feels really kinda off in a lot of places. Like, it's the only season that has these commercial transitions, and they don't make any sense. It's not like the show changed networks or anything. Why put these bumpers in? They don't even fit the aesthetic they're going for, and after the season, we never see them again. It's almost like they knew they were a bad and weird call. The jokes are still there, and the delivery is fine, but I don't know, it's just an overall vibe check fail, you know? The direction feels off, and admittedly it wasn't directed by Adam Reed, but the dialogue is also much more monotone. Granted, it's the season premiere, and there's plenty of shows that have a rough start that get way better as the season goes on. It's still not bad by any means, but it is a noticeable slip. The Ficus Agency is a dog treat lacing 7 out of 10. With the real Veronica Dean in the office, the gang realize that they've been had and have to now steal the disc they'd already stolen. The real Veronica Dean would actually be played by Mary McDonald Lewis, and while I didn't mention in the last episode, her agent Ellen Shapiro would be played by comedy nerd legend Patton Oswalt. Lana and Archer had to do a trade-off with some bikers while the crew at the office just kinda dink around. It's all okay. I will say there's a scene where Archer's in the trunk and Mallory calls him, and they hear her just guns a-blazing and fighting off bikers, and they think it's one elaborate voicemail prank, because it absolutely could be. He absolutely could have set one up. He's an absolute madman when it comes to his voicemail. But he's actually doing things. He's actually fighting them off. He desperately needs help. And it's actually kind of great. I know I keep saying actually, but I was genuinely blown away by how great this joke was. It feels so very much like The Boy Who Cried Wolf having actual consequences, except it's Archer and taken to a Spinal Tap 11. It's just, I love that people don't know if they should believe anything with his phone, and it's just amazing. It's the dumbest recurring joke, and it might be one of the smartest ones in any show through the dawn of man. And, you know, Patton Oswalt is a great addition to the show, and having him pop up more and more does add some balance to the season. It's nice to hear him do deliveries that aren't just nerdy character X or weird toned-down character Y. He actually gets to be his most honest comedic self, and it's really kind of great to see. It definitely feels like they just had to set things up with the last episode, and this is establishing that you're still gonna have classic Archer, just reimagined, just tweaked a little bit, and that's honestly fine. I really enjoyed the episode, and it's easily some of the strongest versions of the characters yet. Archer has slipped a little from the last season, but it's honestly not that bad at all. The Handoff is a cashier check depositing 9 out of 10. John Daly and John Glazer guest star this episode. A man who loves oysters on toilets and another who loves gear. It's a stacked episode, ladies and gentlemen, stacked episode. Archer's with Lana and Mallory trying to get AJ into a prestigious preschool when he runs into his old boarding school bully, Ivy, who makes a deal with him. If Archer takes him out since he has terminal cancer, he'll not only pay Archer, but also give him a letter of recommendation for his daughter to get into the school and have a fighting chance of succeeding in life. Lana tries to make Hamantaschen. Archer goes to take Ivy out and realizes it's actually the other bully from his boarding school, Whitney, and Ivy set them up. He and Cyril escape the house before it blows, and Archer has to deal with his bullies permanently. Archer is willing to face his past and make deals with his bullies so that his daughter can have the best opportunities possible for her. He's willing to make personal sacrifices and swallow his pride to be a dad for AJ. And that's really something incredible to see from Archer, a man that got matching tattoos with the wee baby Seamus. The Lana story doesn't make a ton of sense, and it just kind of fizzles, and they show that Whitney had stuff about the disc that got stolen before the house blew, but it honestly feels like a red herring at this point. I get it's supposed to build the intrigue, but this episode really felt like it didn't need it, you know? It was already a personal adventure for Archer and could have been left at that. It didn't need those extra steps, and those extra steps ultimately didn't matter all that much. Though it's absolutely one of the stronger episodes of the season and would honestly be a 10 out of 10 if it didn't have the damn commercial bump that takes all the momentum out. It's so jarring. I would rather it fade to black. I genuinely, instead of what they do here in this season only, like why? It's not in Danger Island, it's nowhere else. It's only in this season and it makes no sense. Deadly Prep is a fantastic, yet interrupted, 9 out of 10. I'm not even trying to be overly critical about the commercial bumps either. They stick out like a sore thumb when you've had so many scenes end on silence, usually intentionally and very, very effectively. Also, I had to check this, and sure enough, J.G. Thirlwell was still doing the music for the series, so it's just that much more baffling when the music is just kinda there. If you look at it from even last season, the music has just really toned down, and it's much more almost lethargic. It's just sort of like the show as a whole is winding down, and I kinda hate to see it when we have 7 more seasons after this. Anyway, Archer is drunk and gets picked up in a cab by Mecha Barry, who wants to hire him in the Figgis agency to find his real mom since he was an orphan. Oh, and he kidnapped Mallory to try and have collateral to make sure Archer did what he wanted, otherwise he'd take her out. This is honestly a great showcase of Mallory as a field agent. She's captured and never really loses her composure as she works on her own to bust out of the place. They find Barry's mom and he goes to meet her, looking like Cyril thanks to Krieger's weird face and hand collection of the gang, and proceeds to get hit by a bus. Honestly, it's just showing Dave Willis' skill in playing Barry. He makes Barry this fantastic, mechanical, multifaceted individual they actually kind of feel for, even when he's just showing off his full Terminator look. And between this and Edie's wedding last season, I don't know. I appreciate Barry, but hot take, maybe write the guy out. And maybe this is when we don't see Barry anymore. What's that? Even more Barry? Oh boy. Well, not this season at least. That being said, overall, I really enjoyed the episode, and it was a fantastic showcase of both Barry and Mallory that just really kind of worked. It felt like a good filler episode of Archer, a good standalone that didn't really have anything to do with Veronica Dean or anything, and that's fine. Motherless Child is an underground cube escaping 9 out of 10. And here we are, the technically second two-parter of the season with 3 whole two-parters. Yee heckin' haw. Randy Havens and John O'Hurley guest star. Alan hires the gang to guard Veronica Dean as she wears her massive emerald necklace to her ex-husband's fundraiser. While they're there, Pam, Ray, and Cyril have to wait on people while Archer keeps Veronica Dean safe, and oh yeah, a bunch of clowns proceed to bust in and hold everyone hostage, and eventually end up letting most of the people go because they have way too many hostages and leave just the core team to deal with the threat. Archer slips into one of the clown costumes, and Cheryl, aka Tiana, wants to slip into a clown's costume too. It's a lot, but it's mostly a lot of spinning wheels that doesn't really go anywhere in the first part. It honestly reminds me a lot of the season 3 finale Space Race, where the back half of the first episode is packed with action while the front half is just sort of floating there. Like they had to pad, but had too much material to not make it a two-parter. Though honestly, I don't know. The episodes could probably be smashed into one and not lose all that much. It just felt unnecessarily stretched out. You don't really need half the interactions, and they just sort of fizzle by the time you're at the end. Mr. Rompers is fun, and the clowns are entertaining enough, but that's just not the necessary momentum to propel the two-parter forward. I think I'd also probably be much less critical if this was, say, a Season 3 or even Season 4 episode. But this is Season 7. This is where you kind of gotta bring your best episodes, and... it's okay. It drags in a lot of weird places. The joke delivery's starting to slip a little bit. I don't know. Bel Panto Part 1 just left a lot to be desired, but hey, maybe Part 2's better. There's only one way to find out! Part 2 picks up with the two detectives taking over the hostage situation, and everyone is trying to break out in their own ways. Everyone gets into clown costumes, no one knows who's a real clown and who isn't, and it all just sort of spirals into chaos that all culminates with Archer getting pelted with beanbags, but also able to keep Veronica Dean and the necklace safe from very cautious clowns for some reason. Turns out the clowns were actually hired by Alan Shapiro to steal the necklace, and that way Veronica Dean could get the insurance payout and actually manage to keep her head above water since she's actually broke. Archer being obsessed with Veronica Dean just kinda wears thin as this two-parter goes on, and by the end, I don't know. I feel like he wouldn't care about her, or at least care less. I get that maybe it's a play on, oh, well, he was neglected as a kid, so he finds a bond with her, but really? Really, Archer? After 7 seasons, after all the growth, after wanting to be a better parent for AJ, even shown this season, after pushing back on Katya to show that he loves Lana and really wants to try, it's just the Veronica Dean stuff just feels so weak. And it wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't what most of the season hinges on. She's just such a nothing character, and it's such a disappointment. I don't know. The clowns are fine, the jokes are fine, and the detectives are great to see again, but the two-parter as a whole just feels bogged down. There was some fun jokes here and there, but the overall product is just kinda nothing. It's a lot of buildup to very little payoff that really hinges on you caring about Veronica Dean at all, and she's just not that memorable of a character. You can tell what they're going for with her. You can tell she's supposed to be this femme fatale, this black widow, but it's also like, okay? I genuinely believe Veronica Dean would have worked better in Dreamscape, Dreamland to be specific. That's the kind of era, that's the kind of character that would really shine. Here, she just stands out. Bel Panto overall is a clown mask accented 7 out of 10. The agency is split when a husband and wife ask the gang to find out if the other is cheating on them. And so the gang decide to split up to try and seduce the other partner and see who they'll be able to get to flip. That's genuinely the whole episode. Everyone figuring out who's hottest and who could seduce who. Krieger gets an afro and starts doing a bunch of weird martial arts, and it's all just really, really, really dumb. But you know what? It feels like good early Archer. I know I said the Bel Panto felt like an early season Archer in a way that meant it was flawed, but you can write in that same style as early Archer and have it do really, really well. Take the new elevated characters and put them in a past Archer scenario. They're still gonna act like the characters we know and love, but they're going to take a more nuanced approach than they might have in Season 2 or Season 3. Whereas Bel Panto felt like it was just them as their Season 2 or 3 selves. It didn't add anything. This is just a wonderful return to form. It's actually really, really nice. It feels like a genuine Season 2 or Season 3 episode, and it works. The episode is just 19 minutes of the gang doing what they do best, fighting in a hotel lobby. It's a lot of fun, and it's great to hear Fred Tatasciore in the show, and it's easily one of the best episodes of the entire season because it never tries to overcomplicate itself. And sure enough, all conflicts can always be sourced to Cheryl, who's just a straight-up agent of chaos and loving it. Again, the show would not be as strong without the vocal talent on display, and these people have worked together long enough that they know how to bring these characters to life masterfully, and it's absolutely terrific hearing them not losing their edge at all. Also, I kind of love that they're using Krieger even more in this season. Lucky Yates really gets the chance to shine this episode, and he kind of steals the show in a fantastic way. Double Indecency is a karate chopping 9 out of 10. Oh look, it's the return of Slater, played by Christian Slater! Yay! And he's hiring Lana and Archer to help him get his hands on an MK Ultra researcher! Whoa! Archer and Lana fight while working with Slater, and Krieger proves that he can hypnotize the crew. And when Archer fails to complete the mission, Lana puts them on break status. I just what? Why is Slater coming to them to help out when they were blacklisted? I know it's CIA and he could just cover it all up, but the entirety of the last season was them failing missions. Why would any of that magically change? And I know he was never going to pay them and he's just kind of an ass like that, but it was a very confusing appearance. There are better people you could have brought in. There are better situations you could have done. It was literally last season. He wasn't even promising that they wouldn't get, they get de-blacklisted or anything. It just didn't make any sense. The episode just sort of stumbles its way to the credits, and I don't know, it's just zany for the sake of being zany. Oh, and Krieger has robot doppelgangers of everyone in the office, which I'm sure won't matter at all. It's just, at least Bel Panto was somewhat funny. This episode just didn't really do much of anything for me, and it's honestly the weakest episode of the season by a mile. It needed to happen to set up the finale, I know, but I feel like there was a better way to do all of this. It just feels dull and phoned in, which is so disappointing. Especially with Slater, who gave us some of the best episodes of last season. I don't know. I wish Archer and Lana was handled better here. I feel like there could have been a better situation than just, oh, he stepped on a pebble and then the guy slipped and fell. Like, he didn't really screw up all that bad. Why would she be this critical? It just, I don't know. Liquid Lunch is a Mobius stripped down 6 out of 10. And here we are, the 2-part season finale. The movie Deadly Velvet is getting made, but there's chaos on the set, so the Figgis agency is hired to, you guessed it, investigate and see what's going on so that they don't shut down production. Oh, whoa, no way, Archer wants to guard Veronica Dean? I had no idea. Well, that's crazy. Veronica Dean takes the chance to do a sticky quickie with Archer and keeps mentioning the time so that he'll always remember what time it was when they were getting busy until it's revealed that her ex-husband and the director of the movie had been found no longer breathing. Both Veronica and Archer couldn't possibly be suspects since they had an alibi. I get it, but also again, if you like Veronica, it works, and if you don't, you can see the twist coming from a mile away, and Archer wouldn't be this dim in any other season. I know you can say he wasn't thinking straight and he's suspicious, but like, give us that? Give us the actual super spy Archer? But it's fine. He's fallen prey to women before, he's very easily manipulated by women, he has a weakness, he has a flaw that makes him an interesting character. I say to myself as copium, though I will admit the setup in this episode works a lot better than Bel Panto and does feel like a proper season finale setup. But hey, it's not like it's setting up one of the biggest twist season finales of the entire show or anything, right? Right? The detectives are investigating the death of the director and treat everyone as suspects because of course they do. Everyone's investigated on set and it looks like Lana's going to go away for everything very obviously being framed. This is when Archer jumps into action to prove that Lana isn't the criminal. This season finale is very, very frustrating, like beyond annoying. Not because it's bad or anything, but I want you to remember this episode. Watch it, pay attention to it, and understand exactly what's going on, because this is the crossroads of Archer. Archer boots up his Krieger robo-doppelganger and goes to get Veronica Dean to confess and save Lana. Turns out the evidence was actually planted by Alan Shapiro, and Veronica was trying to get the production shut down so she could get a part of the insurance payout. All very, almost, domestic issues for Archer to be dealing with. There's no bloodstream submarine or space mutiny. It's just a weird, dumb film noir idea. Oh, noir, wonder if that'll matter. Veronica shoots Archer several times in the chest and he falls in the pool. Everyone comes to the scene and sees Archer and freaks out until the other Archer pops out, shot, and starts to propose to Lana when he proceeds to short circuit, revealing that the real Archer is floating lifeless in the pool. Robot Archer was getting ready to propose and share his real feelings with Lana, the mother of Archer's child. Feelings that you could surmise that Archer would have towards her too, and you can tell that Lana cares a lot about Archer, even if they're on again, off again. It won't matter for several seasons, but just remember this is where things were left before we head into the dreamscape. As a capstone to a season, this is excellent. Archer has survived countless situations. He's dealt with a robot determined to tear him limb from limb. He's escaped human bodies. He's escaped space. And yet he gets taken out by an over-the-hill actress short on cash. It's very symbolic in a way, and it works super well for his character. Everyone is devastated, and while Krieger cheers about his robot passing the Turing test, they never try and undercut the severity of the situation. It doesn't cut to him sitting in a hospital bed totally fine. It cuts to credits, and you not knowing what's going to happen next. It would be a horribly dark note to end the series on, but if they were going to do it, they could have. Deadly Velvet is a production halting 9 out of 10. And there we have it. That's season 7. Anything you think I was right on, wrong on? What was your favorite episode? Least favorite? Let me know in the comments below. And if you liked what you saw, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Season 7 is very much the end of an era. After this, we go into the dreamscape and then probably the most controversial seasons of the entire series, which you'd think would be the coma seasons, and oddly enough, you'd be dead wrong. The seasons will get shorter, the characters will go through some changes, and the show will truly never be the same after this point. Looking back at Archer here, this is really the peak of what the show was. It could have gone in any amount of directions, and what we got is, well, that's a story for a different video. That's going to do it for us here at the Lecture Hall. If you like what you saw and want to support the channel, consider joining our Patreon or membership programs today. $2 a month and you get early access to videos, exclusive polls, and even your name on this fancy list. Ooh. Thank you all so much for watching and giving this little channel of mine a chance. It truly means the world, and I genuinely cannot thank you all enough. And like always, stay strong, keep fighting that good fight, and know that I always believe in you. A rising tide lifts all ships, and I can feel one funky wave a-comin'. You got this. And no matter what, even if you just got out of bed today, I'm proud of you. So save the date when we head straight into Season 8. Goodbye, everybody. I'll see you all next time.